Hey, welcome to That One Time, the place for unforgettable moments and stories worth sharing. Funny, touching, surprising, just like life itself. Grab a seat, get comfortable, and let's dive in. Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks, blurring her vision. She moved forward, seeing nothing around her. In her mind, only one question pulsed. Why? Why did this fate befall me? She was born into a wealthy family, their only child. Her father adored her boundlessly, fulfilling her every wish. Yet Sarah grew up not spoiled, but well-mannered and diligent. She sincerely loved her parents and studied brilliantly. She finished school with a gold medal and university with honors. She practiced sports, winning awards and medals, and all these achievements were her own, hard-won and earned through persistent effort. Robert brought her into his company, beginning to involve her in the family business, and here Sarah impressed him with her perceptiveness and business acumen. And then disaster struck. Robert tragically died under unexplained circumstances. While hunting with friends, a tree fell on him. It fell so unfortunately that the blow landed directly on his head. He died instantly. Sarah, who had always been a daddy's girl, took this loss as a terrible blow. But inner strength and an unyielding character helped her persevere. Sarah didn't just return to business. She took Robert's place at the head of the company. Her relationship with her mother had been difficult since childhood. Eleanor often felt jealous of her daughter, completely forgetting that the person before her was not a rival, but her own flesh and blood. But Sarah, despite everything, loved her mother, although at times she didn't understand her actions. Just as Sarah began to recover after Robert's sudden death, a new blow struck. Her mother suffered a heart attack, and a week later she passed away in the hospital. And again, tears, a funeral, a farewell. All these tragic events befell Sarah in less than a year. Left completely alone, she threw herself into work. The world around her ceased to exist. Circumstances forced her to grow up too early, placing the burden of responsibility for the fates of hundreds of employees on her shoulders. As it happened, Sarah had no true friends. She simply didn't have time for frivolous parties. Her whole life was dedicated to studying and sports. There were classmates, fellow students, but they remained only acquaintances and associates. There was no one to talk to heart or ask for advice. Her best and only friend had always been Robert, but he had been gone for 3 years now, and it was unbearably difficult to come to terms with it. And suddenly, he appeared in her life. Their meeting was accidental. It happened at a city festival. Sarah was present there as an honored guest and sponsor. David turned out to be the son of a well-known politician. He immediately captivated Sarah. He was incredibly handsome and possessed astonishing charm. They started dating. 3 months later, David proposed to her, and Sarah happily accepted. They got married, and David moved into her house. Married life turned out to be far from the fairy tale the courtship period had seemed. Literally a couple of months after the wedding, David started disappearing at night, only returning in the early morning. He didn't work, and it seemed had no intention of doing so at all. He was perfectly content with his wife providing for their life. Rumors of his infidelity reached Sarah, along with talk that he had married solely for financial gain. But she pushed these thoughts away, trusted her husband, believed him. However, her husband's idleness and lack of any ambition caused her strong dissatisfaction. She had repeatedly suggested he start his own business, but David evaded her proposals under various pretexts. Almost a year passed like this, until a certain well-wisher called Sarah and informed her that her husband was currently out of town at a roadside motel in the company of another woman. Sarah, tired of the endless gossip, decided to go and make sure her faith in David was not in vain. The caller even gave her the room number. Driving up to the motel, Sarah paused for a moment, wondering, was she doing the right thing? I have to know the truth. If he's not there, he'll never know about this trip. And if he is, then I don't need a cheating husband. With this thought, she resolutely entered the building and went up to the second floor. Stopping outside the indicated room, she listened. Female laughter could be heard from behind the door. She knocked confidently. A young woman opened the door. Who are you looking for? She asked, surprised. Excuse me, may I come in? Sarah asked, already feeling her confidence draining away. Why on earth? We're relaxing here and not expecting anyone, the girl replied and called into the room. Darling, could you come here, please? David came out of the room, covered only by a towel around his waist. Sarah looked at her husband, refusing to believe her eyes. Tell me, what were you lacking? Did you really just marry me for money? Sarah whispered, barely holding back tears. Sarah, it's not what you think. Oh, really? You couldn't come up with a more ridiculous phrase in this situation, Sarah said, stunned by his shamelessness. Enjoy your stay. I'll send your things to this address. She ran out of the motel as if pursued, afraid that David would chase after her. She wanted to hide from all her problems somewhere in the wilderness. There was no forest nearby, but in the distance, the outlines of a park or grove were visible, and Sarah ran towards it. She didn't remember how she ended up near the railway tracks. She looked around, trying to understand where she was. Her mind felt as if it were shrouded in fog. Sarah walked, and tears streamed from her eyes. She saw nothing in front of her. Only one question echoed in her head. Why? Why had everything turned out this way in her life? Suddenly, she stopped. Her head swam. She felt completely unwell. She managed to think that she hadn't eaten anything today and collapsed, losing consciousness. Someone caught her and dragged her. She woke up in some cramped space, like a small room. A young man sat nearby, looking quite disheveled. Sarah was frightened. What if he dragged me here with bad intentions? But the guy didn't seem aggressive. On the contrary, seeing that his unexpected guest had come to, he spoke. How are you feeling? Did you intentionally fall headfirst onto the tracks, or was it an accident? You were incredibly lucky I was nearby, otherwise the train would have run you over. I managed to pull you away just in time. He said something else, asked questions, but Sarah could barely understand what was happening. Finally coming to, she looked at her savior again and asked, Where am I? What's your name? My name is Max. You're in my shelter. Max looked at Sarah, wanted to ask what had happened to her, but changed his mind. Who knows what sorrow a person has? Maybe it's better not to stir up their soul, he thought. But Sarah herself began to tell him how she ended up in this place, about her ungrateful, cheating husband and how she had run wherever her eyes led her. Max, thank you so much. You saved my life. My husband is certainly not worth dying under a train for. But why do you live here? You're a young man. Where is your family? Max lowered his head. He felt awkward, but it's customary to repay frankness with frankness, and he decided to tell his sad story. I had a family. My parents were wealthy people. Then they died in a car accident, and I was left alone. More precisely, there was also a brother, because of whom I ended up on the street. Robert left the business to me in his will. Ethan couldn't accept this and set me up. He set me up badly. I had no choice but to hide. He promised to help with money, but as you can see, I'm here, and no one has sent me any money. I'm not from around here. In your city, I have nowhere and no one to go to. I wanted to get a job, but I have no documents. And recently I found out he declared me missing. Can you imagine? I'd like to go home and prove I'm alive, but those I supposedly owe are eagerly waiting for that. And I just don't know what to do. They won't even hire me as a loader. So Sarah, your story isn't the worst. Your husband betrayed you, and I was betrayed by my own brother. Sarah looked at Max with genuine sympathy. She felt very sorry for this kind young man and decided to help him at least a little. Max, let's do this. We'll go to my place now. You'll take a bath, then we'll go to a salon, get your hair done, and then update your wardrobe a bit. She saw that Max was about to object and raised her hand in warning. Don't even try to argue with me. It's useless. You are my savior. If it weren't for you, I'd be dead right now. So no objections are accepted. I know how to be grateful and I always remember kindness. So let's go. We need to find my car. They left Max's shelter and headed towards the motel. The car was in its usual spot. David was found standing next to it. Sarah was surprised. I'm just curious. What are you hoping for? That I'll pretend nothing happened? Don't even dream of it. Pack your things today and get out of my house. David wanted to say something, but then looked at Max and burst out laughing. What a unique specimen you found for yourself instead of me. What, couldn't find any decent guys? Stoop to bums? Sarah knew how to take a hit and respond with dignity. You won't believe it, but this, as you call him, bum is more decent and smarter than you. You're not even worth his little finger. I deeply regret marrying you. It was my biggest mistake. But never mind, I'll fix it. They got into the car with Max and drove away. While Max was taking a bath, Sarah called a hairdresser to the house and ordered some men's clothes from a store for delivery. Everything was delivered quickly. When a shaven and clean Max came out of the bathroom in her husband's bathrobe, Sarah was astonished. He turned out to be very attractive, even captivating. And after the haircut, he looked even younger. Well, now that's completely different. Let's go somewhere now and celebrate my second birthday and your return to a normal life, Sarah suggested. Max didn't object. He was very hungry, and they went to a restaurant. The clothes Sarah had chosen fit perfectly. He was even surprised. How did you manage to pick the clothes so accurately? Even I can't always do it without trying them on. Sarah smiled. I often buy things online. I bought them for Robert and for my husband. I just have a good eye. I'm glad you liked my choice. What about the styles? Do you wear things like this? I didn't ask and chose according to my taste. Everything's great. You got it right here too. Max, I have a suggestion. We're almost the same age. Maybe we could switch to using you informally? I don't mind. Let's. He smiled. He liked this girl. It was easy and pleasant to talk to her. Sarah also looked at her savior with genuine interest. After the physical transformation, it was easier to see him clearly. Good upbringing and education were evident, and Max's manners were fitting. I wonder, if we hadn't met, how would his fate have turned out? Would he have remained an outcast forever because of Ethan? How terrible. They arrived at the restaurant. The evening was wonderful. Max told stories from his past life. Sarah shared hers. They recalled their parents, childhood, student years. They spoke the same language. It was easy and fun for them together. Suddenly, the phone rang. Sarah excused herself and stepped away from the table. The conversation lasted about 10 minutes, and then she returned with a radiant smile. Everything all right? Good news? Yes, very good. My lawyers have prepared the divorce papers, and tomorrow the marriage can be officially dissolved. I don't want to be his wife anymore, not even formally. Congratulations. Yes, thank you, but that's not all. I asked someone to find out something about Ethan. Basically, I'll help you get Robert's business back, and for now, you can work at my company if you want, of course. Max looked at Sarah, seemingly unable to believe his ears. How? Is that even possible? Who are you? An angel? Tears welled up in his eyes. So it turns out you're my savior, not me yours. You brought me back to life. I don't know how to thank you. Stop it. It will be my pleasure to help you. So, will you work with me? Of course I will. He paused and added, now everything makes sense. Sarah looked at him in surprise. What makes sense? Max walked over and took her hand. It's just that I dreamed of you. It wasn't by chance that I ended up where I found you. I fell asleep and had a strange dream. A girl was walking in a beautiful blue dress, and behind her she had huge white wings like an angel. And then suddenly she fell, head first onto the tracks. And at that moment I heard a voice. Get up, you must save the angel. I jumped up and ran to where I saw you. And you were wearing a blue dress too. I don't believe in mysticism, of course, but you definitely can't call this a coincidence. So you are my angel. Thank you. So that's what makes sense. She paused and smiled mysteriously at Max. Now we'll have to be together always. An angel can't abandon the one they protect, can they? And they both laughed.